everyone. It's day 13 and I am at work. I just got done with a meeting that is a work group that I've been working with, for almost 2 years now, I think. And it's the suicide prevention work group here at Oregon State. And some of the things that we focus on are means reduction. We talk about screening for our students here on campus. We talk about training people on how to respond when someone expresses suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts. It's a lot of really important, but also very serious and very heavy work. We know a number of different things. We know that talking about suicide makes it less likely for people to commit. We know that means reduction is actually very important. We know that suicide is generally an act that is quite often impulsive, and so there are a lot of ways to prevent it, that suicide is preventable, and so that the work that we're doing is focused on saving people's lives. We also know that on a college campus, suicide rates are high compared to the general population, that suicidal ideation and suicide risk are high. We know that certain populations are more likely to attempt suicide or complete suicide. And so that's one of the reasons that I, in my work and in my office, are focused on this and as a part of this work group, because students experiencing financial stress are at higher risk for depression and anxiety. And as a result of that, are at higher risk for suicidal ideation, for suicidal thoughts, or potential for attempting or completing suicide. And I think this is a really important issue for us to talk about in mental health. Once again, talking about breaking silence, talking about having conversations. And it's something that I think about as a person with mental illness is, suicide is something that I think quite often isn't as actively discussed. At least in my experience, I've never, in my time talking to therapists, had anyone ask me if I've had suicidal thoughts, which I find really interesting. I appreciate the non-assumption, but I also find that maybe concerning, because I would say that as a person with bipolar disorder, I might be at a higher risk. I guess that begs the question that, have I ever thought about suicide? And then, in my lifespan, yes, I have. Those thoughts have not been to the level of sort of actual ideation, at least not in my mind. But yeah, the thought has occurred to me. It's sometimes really painful to go through the cycles and the experiences I have, and that's not to say that I've moved beyond just that thought. But I think that that's a real aspect of what it means for me to live with bipolar disorder, is that, there are all kinds of other concerns and issues. And so I check in with myself really regularly, and I work really hard to take care of myself, because I love my life. I love my family. I love my friends. I have no interest in not being here. And simultaneously, I have this part of my brain that I don't always have control over. And so I think about making sure that I do everything I can to be in control. I think that the message that needs to be sent to people is that, you're not alone, that there are people that care and love you, and that they want to do the best for you. And so to reach out if you are having trouble, if you are struggling, if you are having suicidal thoughts, I think it's really an act of courage and bravery to step out and make that statement, to share with other people, and to ask for that help. And so, and if you are a person who's concerned about somebody, if you're worried that person may be having those thoughts, to say something, to ask that person, are you considering killing yourself, or are you considering hurting yourself? And then working to get appropriate help for that. I am going to include in the notes underneath this video the number for the suicide hotline. And I really hope that if you are a person who needs it, or either because you need it for yourself or you need it for someone else, please look below and use that as a resource for yourself and for others. And maybe even just write it down on a piece of paper and stick it in a wallet and have it with you. I think that if we think about it and we focus on, as a culture and as a society, having conversations, we can really save lives. So yeah, those are my thoughts today. Definitely thinking about it as a way of working with and serving my students, as well as just my personal connections to my own mental wellness. And yeah, I think that I think that's really what I have to say today. I thought for a second I had something more, but I don't. And yeah, I just want to say have a great day. And I'm really looking forward to some of the work that we're doing here on this campus. I think that it's really meaningful, and I think that we're gonna make a big difference. So yeah, have a lovely Wednesday.